Hello, this is Justice Beckstrom, and welcome back to another video. And today I'm going to be reviewing the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. If you don't know, this is Suzanne Collins' most recent addition to the Hunger Games franchise. Um, it's a prequel to the original trilogy. Um, just came out in May 19th, I believe. Anyways, I wanted to go ahead and review this. I asked in a recent video if you guys wanted me to. Um, so far as I know, nobody's responded, but that's kind of what I expected. I just want to go ahead with this anyways. Also, sorry if this seems a bit unscripted. It kind of is. Also, before I get into this, there's going to be some pretty major spoilers. So I'll give you 5 seconds to get out. All right. So, the story follows Coriolanus Snow before he's the president. He's 18 years old at this time, and um, it came as a surprise to me. He's actually really poor at this time. I mean, he's in the capital, so he's not poor compared to the districts, but he's got like no income, no money. He's an orphan. Both his parents died in the war during the Dark Days, and oh, by the way, I'm gonna say this now because I'm gonna forget it later if I don't say it now. Tigress is in. I don't actually remember her from the movies, although I'm sure she is in Mockingjay Part Two. Anyways, I remember her from the book. She's um, she's a tiger themed fur lined clothing seller person. But she allies with the districts to take down um, the capital in the end of Mockingjay. And it turns out she's actually Coriolanus Snow's cousin, um, which I'm not. Throughout the book, they seem close. So I'm not sure what made her turn against him or him turn against her. Um, Although, I mean, I suppose I could have my ideas, but I'll get into that later if I remember. Um, Anyways, enough preface, I suppose. This it takes place during the 10th annual Hunger Games. And honestly, at this point, um, the Hunger Games are already starting to lose favor with the people. People aren't watching them. Nobody really cares. And a lot of people, even in the capital, are saying, "Let's just get rid of them. This is awful and horrific, really." So it's in an effort to keep the Hunger Games alive. Professor Dr. Gall um, uh, and Dean Highbottom, um, they organized the Minter program, and it's actually quite a bit different from how it works in the later on in the Hunger Games trilogy. In this, they've got um, 24 students from the capital, 24 capital students, children, and they are going to be the mentors of the tributes um, from the districts. And Coriolanus Snow, if you hadn't guessed it already, gets selected, and he gets selected for District 12 girl, which he takes as a insult, and it was meant as an insult actually. And again, he's like I said, he's actually super poor. But his family was wealthy during and before the war, and he puts on this charade of still being wealthy, and um, they still have their fancy apartment, because up to this point there weren't any taxes on capital citizens, so they were able to hold on to their old fancy apartment. Um, but yeah, he puts on this charade of being special and rich and whatnot, but he's really not. And he thinks that everybody's bought it, but Dean Highbottom didn't. And so he gives last and least to Coriolanus Snow. And So the District 12 girl's name is Lucy Greybeard. And she's actually from sort of a nomadic tribe of musicians called the Cove that were kind of trapped in District 12 and weren't originally from there. Um, but anyways, so she makes herself stand out pretty well at the reaping. Again, at this point, like I said, the Hunger Games are quite a bit different from what they are in what you're used to in the trilogy. So making yourself stand out or anything doesn't really matter yet, because the what's it called, the gambling program where you can buy tributes items or food or whatever, it, it hasn't been implemented yet. And this is actually that actually ends up being Coriolanus's suggestion, or at least partially his suggestion, um, and it ends up being implemented. And So, long story short, Coriolanus Snow ends up falling in love with Lucy Greybeard. And to be fair, I'm not exactly sure how how close he really comes to falling in love with her. I mean, because okay, trying to not get too ahead of myself. Um, and he's confused about himself as well, whether he just wants just sees her as his ticket to going to university, or if he actually cares about her. And he decides that he does. And then again, I'm not gonna get ahead of myself yet, um, but hold that tentatively. Um, and so so yeah, he gets the gifts program implemented, and he also ends up kind of cheating a couple times to help her win, and she does win eventually. She was able to sneak rat poison into the arena thanks to Coriolanus. Um, Also, I guess probably I've kind of gone over another important character in the book, um, which would be Sejanus Plinth, who was he's actually from District 2, but his father, Strabo Plinth, was really rich, and he he owned a bunch of munitions and stuff, and he ended up being able to buy his way into the capital. It's kind of interesting. There's a bit of a, I guess, a dichotomy, but between the Plinths and the Snows, because the Plinths, they were both in munitions, and the Plinths had their munitions in District 2, and the Snows had their munitions um, and everything in District 13, which of course the rebels took over, but the story was that it got destroyed. Um, so um, they're kind of similar, but ended up differently. And so most of the people, most of the capital kids dislike Sejanus, and Coriolanus kind of doesn't care about him, but in the end they end up getting a bit closer. Um, but um, Sejanus has nostalgia for the districts, and um, he's always getting in trouble, and then that ends up getting Coriolanus in a lot of trouble as well. Um, but yeah, so when they after the Hunger Games are over, um, it gets found out that Coriolanus cheated to help Lucy Gray win, um, and he is forced to join the Peacekeepers, otherwise be publicly shamed or whatever. Um, and so he asks to be stationed in District 12, and of course he meets up with Lucy Gray again in District 12. Um, also, Sejanus gets in trouble as well for some of the mischief he'd got into, some of the trouble he'd got into, primarily sneaking into the arena, and he tried to make a statement, like, here I am, these games are evil, I'm gonna get dead or whatever. Um, but that failed, and Coriolanus actually had to rescue him out of the arena. But anyways, for his actions, he gets sent into the Peacekeepers as well, and of course, he's gonna end up in District 12 too. Um, so they, Coriolanus and Sejanus, reconnect in District 12, and Sejanus ends up um, connecting with the rebels in District 12, not not really to not for any rebellion purposes or anything, but just to run away, and um, I believe they want to go to. I think they've heard that. Okay, well, it says that they heard rumors of people up in the north, which I assume is referring to District 13, and that's where they're planning on running. And so, but um, Coriolanus actually ends up using a Jabberjay to spy on Sejanus, or to report Sejanus rather, um, and so Sejanus ends up getting hanged, unfortunately, which was kind of disappointing because he was one of the only decent characters in the book. Um, and then, but before that, Sejanus and Coriolanus are both implicated, or well, they both, um, they're responsible for murdering the District 12 mayor's daughter and her boyfriend. And so Coriolanus is worried about getting in trouble for that. Um, so he ends up deciding to actually run away from District 12 with Lucy Gray. Um, and so, really, I think a better title for this book would be How Coriolanus Snow Almost Became a Decent Person. Um, but also, this book really ties up a lot of loose ends that I didn't realize before were loose, but I guess in hindsight they kind of were. Um, well, not really, but it ties them up anyways. So as they're running away, they stop at the concrete shack near the lake that's actually from the original Hunger Games trilogy as well. And there they find the murder weapons. And this is why I say Coriolanus almost became a decent person. He almost ran away with Lucy Gray and was everything could have been fine. But when he finds the murder weapons, um, he starts thinking he'll never be found out. He could just destroy the weapons, um, and then go back to District 12 and go on with officers training, and everything will be fine. Lucy Gray actually figures this out ahead of him, and she escapes before he can betray her. Um, and actually, I'm not sure if she actually escapes because he ends up trying to kill her. It's unclear if he succeeds. Um, but yeah, so he throws the weapons down in the lake after trying to murder Lucy Gray, and then he returns to District 12, and that's kind of the end of the book. After that, he goes back to the capital, and kind of everything gets back to a little bit how it was before, and he goes to the university and stuff. Um, yeah, though, really, this book just really made me hate Coriolanus Snow. Um, but though it really is a good book. I definitely recommend reading it if you haven't already. If you haven't already, then why are you watching this? You just had the entire thing spoiled, but still read it. It's still a good book. Um, and yeah, that's about it for this video. And I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.